What's up, world? Let me tell you about this beard growth oil I got from 12 tribes on Earth. 8 ounces of oily goodness with a nozzle that prevents sprays and spills, and soft ingredients that make it perfect addition to anyone's morning routine. From coconut to castor, all these oils are hand chosen. After using this herbal blend, the biggest thing I noticed is how soft, how strong my hair was, and how good I feel. Pick up your bottle today and make your beard the star of the show.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. Well, there's more talk about Donald Trump getting removed from office, but you know what, y'all? I ain't gonna lie to you. I think it's a load of bullshit. I really think the Congress and Senate is gonna let Donald Trump continue to sit there through his entire term, mess up all over the place along the way, and he'll finish out the term if of course, Most High permits. But as far as them taking measures to remove him, they have already demonstrated that nobody got a backbone. If you notice, when Donald Trump started the war, that would have been the time to step in and said, wait a minute, you didn't go through Congress. We're shutting this all down right now. You're not going to be able to continue this war. See, that would have been the time to do it. Now, weeks later, the damage is done. Everybody is suffering with these gas prices and food prices and energy prices, and now you got him over in China, and the president Xi over there is practically pooping on Donald Trump, telling him China is rising and the US is falling. He pretty much told Donald Trump the US is declining. He pretty much slapped his ass down at the table, and Donald Trump did not get anything he want. He thought he was going to talk China into opening up the Strait of Hormuz and they would help. And China pretty much let Donald Trump know they ain't helping him do squat. All right. He was supposed to get some deals made while over there. He didn't even get a fraction of the deals he claimed he wanted. China, nobody's got to negotiate with Donald Trump. All right. You started an illegal war, and then you turn around and expect other countries to come in there and help you. And they have told you multiple times that you're on your own. You're on your own. Nobody is going to, put their navy and their military on the line because you and Netanyahu decided to start a war. So he walked away with virtually nothing he wanted. Nothing. And they said China was talking like they were the new power in the world. And they did this all up in Donald Trump's face. So much for that. But China, don't get too high on your own farts, because it is no prophecy that says Moab will rule the world. Okay. So y'all can go somewhere and sit down too. Y'all can go, all of you Gentiles, not just Esau, all of you Gentiles, your time is up. There is no China going to dominate the world from now on. It's none of that. All right. So, y'all, your roses really do smell like boo boo. All right. It ain't going to happen. So, listen, y'all. All this speculation is flowing across social media about Donald Trump getting removed. And they had ample time to do something when Donald Trump has done a number of things that should have been in question. And if Congress was the one you go through, then they should have been, They should have been stern and put their foot down. No, you won't have this war and not go through Congress. But nope, they all voted to let Donald Trump go on. So that doesn't sound like they're trying to remove him. It sounds like they're bitching and moaning, but they're not going to do nothing about it. But that's where I stand. But there are people that think Donald Trump will be removed and, Congress and the Senate will do it. Remember, the Republicans dominate both houses, and that is another reason why I don't believe it will happen. All right? They dominate both houses, both the Congress and Senate. Now, after the midterms, if they lose a bunch of seats, it could, but I don't know. I don't know. Do we have the kind of Democrats in office that got backbone like that? It sure don't appear like they got a backbone. But that's where I stand on it. As long as the Republicans really hold both houses, I don't believe Donald Trump is going anywhere. But you may see things differently, of course, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, give me a 1 if you can see my screen. And just remember, if they take Donald Trump out, we got JD Vance. You really think that's going to be better? I don't think so. Thank you, everybody.
Congress has to remove Trump right now. I mean, immediately. 25th Amendment, do what they have to do, take a vote, get him out of office right now before he does any more damage. The damage already done is irreparable to the American people. He's already done so much damage that we will not be able to recover for a very, very long time. However, if he dies of natural causes or somehow gets taken away because of some health issue, we will lose face as a nation. We have to show the world we are not behind this, that we're not a part of this, that we don't want this. We have to take action to remove him. He has threatened what would be war crimes. He obviously has no idea what he's doing. And he's talking about destroying civilian infrastructure against the Geneva Convention. You cannot do that. If we want to have any semblance of regaining the trust of our allies, Congress has to act now.
There is a plan to remove Donald Trump now, soon, like in the next couple of months. And I have to tell you about it. I'm going to tell you each step of this plan. This is from a piece that Robert Reich recently wrote about on his Substack, and it outlines a plan that he heard about. Now, I've told you before, there are only a few ways out before Donald Trump's term ends. One is Trump dies or is completely incapacitated. The other is impeachment, and then there's the 25th Amendment. I've also told you that the 25th Amendment and impeachment seem essentially impossible. What Robert Reich writes about, and we'll link to his piece, is a version of the 25th Amendment plan that is in play, specifically because of the drama between J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. So let me explain it, and then I'll tell you whether I think that this is viable. Robert Reich writes that he was recently at a dinner with political operatives and that they believe this is the most realistic plan to remove Trump soon. And it goes like this. Step 1, food and gas prices stay so high that much of the Republican base turns on Trump during this summer. And Trump's cognitive problems become even more obvious, so that the Republican Party is sort of less and less attached to the idea of Trump as someone that they want in power. Step 2 is that Vice President J.D. Vance goes to the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and says, hey, listen, if you join me in saying we've got to remove Trump through the 25th Amendment. I will make you the vice president when I become president. And Rubio goes, all right, I would go for that. Vance and Rubio together go to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune, and they say, this is what we're thinking about doing. Johnson and Thune say, we would support it. Then Vance and Rubio goes to Pete Hegseth and says, hey, if you support this, we'll give you job security as Secretary of Defense. You get to keep your job after Trump is gone. And then they go to Todd Blanche, the interim Attorney General, and they say, hey, if you are on board with this, you will be the permanent Attorney General. And that becomes enough to convince others in the cabinet to follow along. They communicate this to Johnson and Thune, and Johnson and Thune act on it in accordance with the 25th Amendment. Now, the reason J.D. Vance would like it is, listen, he gets to be president right away, and it also sets him up really well for 2028. It also short circuits what could be a really ugly Vance versus Rubio Republican primary in 2028.
50 House Democrats have filed legislation that would create a commission to jumpstart the process to remove the president from office under the 25th Amendment.
The bill introduced yesterday by House Judiciary Ranking Member Jamie Raskin calls for the president to be medically examined to determine whether he's mentally or physically unable to serve. Filing comes one day after U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock introduced a war powers resolution to stop the war in Iran.
He held a news conference in Washington to explain his reasons for that move.
Donald Trump said that he was the candidate for peace. He is a warmonger president, and he has dragged us into this illegal, unwise war.
Meanwhile, talks to end the war could resume.
Major news right now. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is calling for Donald Trump to be removed from office via the 25th Amendment, marking the highest profile elected official to call on Donald Trump's removal from office. Pritzker says that Donald Trump's statements concerning using American cities, including the city of Chicago, as a training ground for the military completely undermines Trump's oath that he has to the American people and to the office of the president, essentially alluding, saying that there's something seriously wrong with Donald Trump. Pritzker compared Trump to Vladimir Putin, accused him of showing signs of dementia, and warned that deploying troops to American cities were both dangerous and unconstitutional. The White House says that Trump is acting to protect Americans where Pritzker has failed. But folks, the 25th Amendment has been called essentially by the governor of Illinois, highest ranking official in the country, to do so to this day. Follow along for more.
Was anyone else completely unaware that last week entered into the congressional record was a statement by a bunch of medical professionals and doctors saying that Donald Trump needs to be removed from office immediately? Before I read the most impactful part of this statement for you, I just want to point out this in their opening paragraph. The following is not a political statement, it is a medical one, made by individuals holding both conservative and liberal ideologies, identifying as both Republicans and Democrats from different backgrounds, races, ethnicities, and religions. This is a bipartisan group. It is our professional opinion that the behaviors of Donald Trump, tragically, are neither momentary lapses nor political theater. It is our professional opinion that they reflect a rapidly worsening reality, untethered, increasingly dangerous decline. If we were called upon under the 25th Amendment to judge the president's present ability to discharge the duties of his office, we would have to conclude that he lacks the capacity to do so. For the reasons cited above, emphasizing that he presents a clear and present danger to our country and to the world, it is our expert opinion that Donald J. Trump is mentally unfit to be the president of the United States, and that steps to remove him from office must be undertaken with the greatest urgency.
Trumpers, let's talk about it. So there's been over 1 million people sign a petition to impeach Donald Trump. I think this could be one of the greatest things that could happen, and I'll tell you why, is because this war continues to get worse. Donald Trump said yesterday in a press conference that the war's about over with, and then it wasn't 24 hours later he said, I guess we're going to have to take extreme measures and start blowing them all to pieces, which I guess then what's that going to make our gas over here now in the South? What about, I don't know, $6-7 a gallon at that point? Like, I mean, come on, what are we doing here, America? So I guess that's why everybody's wanting to impeach him. because there's more people signing this petition. The Democrats is actually picking more steam up on getting him out of office. But I'm not so much interested in the impeachment as much as I'm interested in the prosecution behind him, that they're going after all of his criminal activities. They're also going to go after Pete Hegseth as well. So I think this could be a very positive thing for the United States. Even though if these diehard Trumpers out here don't want to hear it, this is what's best for this country. This will get our fuel costs down, bring back the economy. Let's get some jobs. If we can get him out of office, put somebody in there that knows what they're doing. So I'll sign that petition Right.
I want you to think about what it means when the United States Congress, the full legislative branch of the American constitutional system, goes on the record. Not in a committee hearing, not in a floor speech, not in a letter to the White House or a statement to the press, in a formal passed resolution of the Congress of the United States. A resolution with text, with vote counts, with the specific language of formal legislative action that is entered into the permanent record of the institution that represents the American people. And that has the constitutional authority to check, constrain, and remove a president who has demonstrated unfitness for the office he holds. The resolution says Trump is unfit to discharge the powers and duties of his office. It uses that specific constitutional language, the language of the 25th Amendment, Section 4, the language that is the formal constitutional trigger for the most serious available mechanism for addressing presidential incapacity. It cites his erratic behavior and his repeated meltdowns and his efforts to subvert elections and his pattern of destabilizing decision-making. It draws on the prior impeachment articles and the 25th Amendment framework simultaneously, combining the constitutional tools for presidential removal in a single formal legislative statement that puts every member who voted for it permanently on the record. And it calls on the vice president, the cabinet, and any independent commission that Congress might create under Section 4 specific authorization. This is not a press conference. This is not a cable news segment. This is the Congress of the United States formally declaring in past resolution that the person currently sitting in the Oval Office is unfit to be there. Can you believe this is where we have arrived? DC is not just reacting. DC is in a new constitutional phase, one where the question is no longer whether Trump is controversial, but whether the system has the institutional will to treat him as too unfit to serve, while the tools for doing something about it still exist. Today, we are going to break down exactly what the resolution says, why it creates pressure on the vice president and cabinet that is qualitatively different from any prior congressional action, and what the constitutional machinery it is triggering means for the path forward. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video. Now, here is the constitutional and historical context that makes today's resolution so specifically significant, because it does not exist in isolation. It is built on and escalates a prior congressional action that itself was historically significant, and that reveals exactly why today's resolution is a categorically more serious development. In 2021, in the immediate aftermath of January 6th, the House approved a resolution urging Vice President Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment and declare Trump unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. That 2021 resolution was the first formal congressional invocation of the 25th Amendment's framework in response to Trump's conduct. But it was.
We all know that Trump is nuts. Everyone in the White House knows that Trump is nuts. And frankly, the media know that he's nuts as well.
I doubled the size of it, you dumb person. If it's double the size. You are not a smart person.
Only their corporate masters won't allow them to talk about it. So it took an underground video to expose what people who actually work for Trump think about Trump. I'm going to show that video, and you are not going to believe what lower level staffers have to say about the crazy orange landmass. It starts off with a hidden camera in a bar. Now there is where you're going to get the truth. In vino veritas, or in this case, beer.
Decision-making processes are a little bit chaotic.
Only it gets worse.
Decision-making processes are a little bit chaotic.
A White House policy advisor opens up about the internal decision-making processes throughout the White House.
I think it's just the overall tone and the government right now.
So then how do we go about making decisions under Trump?
theory, everything should sort of come from the president.
Yeah.
But it might come from the level below him where they're like, I think I know the president well enough to say what he would say on this.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, we would want to do that. That would be popular. And then at my level, like, I don't know, 5 levels below or whatever, still there's a lot of discretion to be like, this is clearly like what we would want to do.
And where's the check on all this decision making?
There's no like, oh, well, this will cost 10 million, but like save people 20 million. There's like nothing like that. It's just like, this feels like a good idea, or like the base supports this or this.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, you're good. I like the questions you ask.
Oh, thank you.
You're a journalist.
And it's not just one staffer that got caught on camera. There's another Trump staffer very unsatisfied with the boss.
He's a mess. He's in it forever. Area with him at the top, it's next to impossible to do anything. He's a madman. Literal is invincible. Nothing can stop, and that's dangerous. The way his decisions are so erratic, you would think he drinks. He does a crack. That's what making so dangerous.
They're not just talking about incompetence, which they are. They're talking about the corruption.
This is just corruption. It's just blazing and outrageous. The claim has been done. It's been built, been sponsored by all private donations. No one knows where the money is coming from. So people are just opening up their wallet. Just
look at this. Wow, we got lots and lots of people. Let's go down into the madness. Let's go. See, they got this lady with the TikTok Modefa sign. Now everyone's yelling F Trump. We're gonna go down into the chaos and see what happens. Wow, it's a loud one, Froggy. What? Yeah, let's hear it. Come back.
Can I ask though, legitimately, are you not worried about the Second Amendment?
About the Second Amendment? About
Like,
guns?
So if an executive order can be written to overturn the First Amendment, the next Democratic president can write an executive order and restrict and limit your Second Amendment rights. And that's what I'm worried about. Is unless it's stopped.
So you want to keep your guns?
I want the Constitution to be protected. And
you know they're going to distort that, right?
Oh,
How?
I know, it's okay.
We're on the same side right here. We both are protecting the Constitution.
Yeah, for me, there is a way that the Constitution is changed, and, it's always been the way. And I think, the burning flags is a very good example of something that's protected by the First Amendment and then went through the Supreme Court, was backed up by the Supreme Court and reinforced to be a protected First Amendment right. And an executive order is, you can now be arrested for it. And that just makes me nervous because they've talked about taking guns away from trans people. They've talked about, registries and trying to get people to write down and acknowledge that they have them. And that's scary. I don't like any of that. I don't like, I don't like banking apps on my phone. I like nothing. So I'm just very, leave me alone.
Yeah, you would your ideal world would be living in the woods and just staying away from everybody, going to no protest and just enjoying life and not worrying about the government.
So I used to work for the government, and then I quit in April of 2017 and went and hung out in the woods for about 4 years.
How was life in the woods?
Delightful. So delightful.
Probably a lot more peaceful than this, huh?
So much more peaceful, yeah.
Probably realize all this stuff. What are you? All this stuff maybe doesn't matter as much as we may think.
No. So I'm honestly opposite. So I'm not going to be your person. And it's so the hiking I did, Appalachian Trail, there's the number of towns that you go through that are just dying, and the only thing that they have left is a couple months in the summer. There's hostels and hikers come and bring money to these towns, and I just want, I want everyone to be built up. I want everyone to be protected. I want everyone to be successful. And
we're agreeing on
no, we're not
everything.
agreeing because
All right, y'all. The bottom line is what I think. I think Donald Trump will be allowed to finish out his term. I do. I know there's a lot of people that want him gone and want Congress to act. But I'm just telling you, as long as it's majority Republican in both the House and Senate, it is zero chance of that happening. It is not going to happen. And even if it was majority Democrats, the Democrats ain't going to do squat. They ain't going to do nothing but sit there and watch Donald Trump do whatever he wants like they are now. You know, you have to have a very different set of people in there, some with a backbone that will do something about it, but you don't have that. And you got these elderly people, like your Clyburns, they ain't about to lift a finger. Are you kidding me? They're not going to do nothing. So, y'all, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. And I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I got my next live at 1:45. So I will see you then. Shalom, family.